Hi, welcome to Rolling with Don Casper. Today is the day where I'll take the V-Dub, the Phaeton, out for a little spin and to have a little catch up. Right, we're all ready to go. It's been about a week since I was last taking this car. Like I said, this car doesn't actually get driven on a regular basis for the time being. That's all due to change in the near future. So what it is now, right, I've been thinking, what can I do? What can be done to set this car apart from other Phaetons that you are likely to see on the street, bearing in mind that you don't actually see these cars on the road on a regular basis, as they're pretty rare. Now, as I was doing my little bit of research, I came across, certain items that, at some stage, I'm going to need to change. And, i.e., for instance, the turbo, for instance. Now, the turbo's not in its way out, but it will do at some stage. And, one day, the turbo's going to fail, and I'm going to have to replace it. So I've been looking into, replacement turbos, for instance. Now, it appears that you can tune these cars up, even though this is a diesel, even though it's not what you would see at the top of a tuning fanboys list. But, I would like to think that you can get things done to this car, and in fact you can. So, there's a hybrid turbo. Now, I'm not too sure of the kind of power it will add to the already low power of this car, because this car only runs with 224 brake horsepower. It's basically, about 320 pounds of torque, which isn't a great deal, but it doesn't mean that this car's a slow. It doesn't mean that this car's a slug neither. Truth be told, this car can hold its own in a sense on the road. So but then this car's not a car designed for speed. You know what I mean? It's not one of those cars. It's not an M4. It's not an M5. It's not a V10 Audi S8. It's not an XJR. It's not, I'm going to run down the names of all the various cars that would fall in its competition. It's not an AMG S63. It's just a Volkswagen Phaeton. That's all it is. They did do a W12, but those are very, very, very rare. And I figured that if you're going to get one of those, right, then you put pretty much in the position to get a Bentley, which in fact the car, I wouldn't say it's based on, but the Bentley's based on a Phaeton. So but we already know that well-worn story. So getting back to the turbos, I figure that, a hybrid turbo will probably put perhaps 100 brake horsepower on top of what it already has. A remap, another 30 brake horsepower, perhaps 40 brake horsepower. And, perhaps, a more purposeful exhaust system. And that's probably all it would need to, probably knock this car into the 300, the 330, 340 brake horsepower, which will then basically bring it on par to the efficiently fast Audi A8 4.2 TDI. Now that car was a beast. When you thought about turbo diesels in large cars, that was a beast. And that would ease, and the reality is that car actually put the normal natural aspirated 4.2 to shame. It was that good, with over 7, I think it had approaching something like 700 Newton meters of torque, which is mad. That's bonkers. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, having said that, you know, that may be the route for this car. It may well be the route. And so, you know, I figure, you know, a nice suspension setup, and that would pretty much be it. Nice set of rims. At the moment it's running on the standard 19s. Patch through night, bounce that back up to, or bounce it up to, you know, 20-inch patch 21s. You know what I mean? And I've definitely got something in mind for those rims. You know what I mean? Definitely. But, you know, that's what I've been thinking about in the last week in regards to this car. I do like this car a lot. I do. This is definitely a keeper. I will definitely struggle to replace this car for anything else. I could replace it with something else, but this car will always remain in the family. I'm bringing my seat lower down because I feel like, you know, I feel like my head, I feel like I've got a square top head. You know what I mean? Because, you know, anyway. But yeah, so, you know, that's the general plans for this car. I've also been looking at, you know, because I'm thinking there's going to be a time when I do want to build upon the collections of cars that I have at the moment. I've just got the one. I've had in the past had more than one car at a time. I wasn't collected. It just so happened, you know, that, you know, I just had two cars. Like when I bought this car, the Daimler Super V8 was around for a good year before I sold it. You know, so yeah, but due to the content of the YouTube channel that I'm, you know, in the process of sorting out, I do want to have a host of cars, if only just for content reasons, just to, you know, just basically give you a one-to-one on the daily running, the ownership, you know, of cars. And I'm trying to play it down on cars which are not necessarily on the radar. So the next car that the next car which I would seriously consider is perhaps a Nissan Skyline 350 GT, which is a coupe. I think that car has so much potential. It's got it ticks the right boxes in a lot of areas. It's rear-wheel drive. It's I think, what's the brake horsepower on it? It's something like 300. No, it's just under 300 brake horsepower. You know, the Japanese cars, their imports at that particular time in the 20s and the 90s, or the 90s and then, you know, into the 20s. Basically, they had a gentleman's agreement that the brake horsepower of any particular car would never exceed 276 brake horsepower or something like that. And so, you know, but I think it pushes about 280, 290 brake horsepower. It's a V6. It's naturally aspirated. You know, but I think it's a great potential of a car. And so, you know, I'm looking to have one of those in the collection. You know, and then, you know, perhaps the Boxster, you know, considering a BMW 1 Series 130i, because I think that's a good car, but they're pretty rare. A great standing point for creating something which is worthwhile. But yeah, more on that closer to the time when that will take place. But for the now, I think, you know, my focus is actually on this baby, and just basically bringing it up to speed, bringing it up to a place where, you know, this car is, you know, this car is a joy to have. because this car has so much potential. It's such a beautiful car. And, you know, it's, boy, I even now, I'm thinking, what would I buy in replacement for this car? And there isn't really anything. Yeah, you could buy an S-Class, you could buy an XJ, you could buy, you know, a 7 Series BMW. But this car, you know, this car, for what it is, because you can pick these up for, you know, £3,000-4,000 quite easily, a 2007 plate. And you won't be disappointed. It's that good a car. It's got all the toys that you would ever want in a, well, when I say whatever you want in a car, there's a lot of cars out there. I mean, the later versions definitely have toys, where this car basically misses. But you know, in its day, this car held its own. It was that good a car. So, you know, at the end of the day, I think, you know, when it comes to replacing something like this, I think, yeah, buy a CL, but that's 2 doors. And that's it. But, you know, that's my little catch up. The next time, hopefully, I'll be able to, you know, I wanna wash this car, but I want to try one of these products, ceramic coating, to see how the body comes up. But that will be happening in the next couple of weeks, definitely. But for now, that's my little catch up. Just sharing a few thoughts, things that are running through my mind. And until next time, take care, drive safely, and we catch up soon. Later.